June the 6th, 2018, almost 4 years ago to the day, I was in New York visiting with my friends Adam and Rachel, who were living in Brooklyn at the time. They've since repatriated back here to Alabama. But I slept on their sofa and I toured New York City. And the reason I'm talking about this is I was having a conversation on Facebook with the Ghostbusters Archives, or Sounds from the Crypt, and they had posted a photo, and I said, it was a picture of Ivan Reitman shooting the opening shot of the lion from a particular angle. And I said, I actually recreated that angle. This is what it looked like in 2014. And it led to a chat, and they said they were planning a trip to New York soon. And I started reminiscing a little bit about all the prep that I did for that trip. So primarily, this video is for Sounds from the Crypt. But if anybody else out there is planning a Ghostbusters or other movie-related trip to New York City, you might find some useful tips in here. Number one. Now you can find a lot of different websites online that have some hints about Ghostbusters filming locations. Matter of fact, once upon a time there was a place calling itself Ghost Bus Tours, which I thought was a brilliant name for a business, who were going to put you on a bus and drive you around New York and show you filming locations from Ghostbusters, Ghost Bus Tours. Apparently they trademarked the name and then never did anything with it. But among those websites that show you a little bit about this site or this site or this site, what you really need to do first is go to Spook Central. I know you guys probably think I'm getting paid, to plug them all the time, but Paul Rudolph and others have really collected a lot of data about Ghostbusters filming locations. They've done some magnificent identification of sites that nobody knew, and they've compiled a lot of data. And the really important thing that they did was let you know when filming locations were close to one another, because that's really how you're going to have to plan your trip. If you try to do all the Ghostbusters filming locations in the sequence that you see them in the movie, you're going to be going all over the place. But if you attack them the way a filming unit from a movie attacked them, and you go to this site here, and oh, by the way, while we're here, let's get this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, you're going to cover a lot of ground more efficiently. So, first thing I did was to ask Adam if he could procure me some sort of folding map of New York City, and he found a really great one. This one's laminated, and it folds out like this. And so here's the island of New York right there. And it's basically broken into 6 panels on this. We kind of broke it down into 3 or 4 when we planned our trip. And as you can see there, what I did with my research on Spook Central was to take their street addresses, put them into Google Earth, look at them on a map of New York City, cross-reference all this stuff, make a little tiny label, and I put these labels all over this map. I don't know if that's in focus yet or not, so hopefully those are legible. Now the ones you're seeing in yellow are ones that I was crossing off as we did them. There are still a few here that are white that we didn't quite do. City Hall and Subway Ghost. Those were both blocked. The City Hall was blocked by scaffolding when I was there, and the Subway Ghost scene right there around the corner from City Hall, like I say, a lot of these things are in close proximity to one another, was likewise under blue walls for construction renovation. So, did all that. Then here's the other thing that I did. And you can see this in one of my videos that I posted. It's a big notebook. It actually was just something in a bookshelf that we got from my wife's work. And I went through and I double-checked all my information. I watched the movies, Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, and I made screen grabs of all the exterior locations and the handful of interior locations from New York City that we were going to be seeing, and I printed a lot of those out as black and white prints, and I'll see if I can find some up here for you. This is Newark Public Library. So right here is just some information that I wrote down, where the museum's store was, different information like that, and then I just had all these images from the film printed out. There's the lion. And I had these with me to recreate angles when I was on site. I also took, there's the shot of Ivan Reitman taking picture of, he's on the Steadicam. He's on the crane, rather, to take that picture of Fortitude at the beginning of the movie. Here's a reverse angle of that. So, you know, recreated these images. That's actually the layout of the interior of the library. So I had a lot of information gathered here into one big notebook. And the way I organized it was by what the location was, 55 Central Park West, and what was close to it, Tavern on the Green, Central Park Tunnel, which I never found. And then grouped all these, Columbus Circle, with these tabs that were, again, out of that same big notebook that we got from a bookshelf my wife was throwing out. St. Patrick's Cathedral, 5th Avenue East 50th Street, Saks. That's near Rockefeller Center. And then I put a note in the margin that says Lego store nearby. Here's the Prometheus statue, also at 30 Rock Plaza. So this was our big Ghostbusters Bible when we were there on the street. And also, in addition, I took a little portable, like I say, DVD player and copies of the movie in case we needed to look at anything moving. And we used that very seldom. It was mainly, the research was already done on where we needed to be. And we had the physical hard copy printouts of, I think, like some 300 images from the movie that I had printed. And I would have done them in color, but it was just cheaper to do them in black and white. So those are a couple of the tools that I took with me. And actually, I didn't take any props with me. When I got off the plane, Adam's like, okay, this is it. Where's your proton pack? And I'm like, I'm not carrying that 30-pound thing all over New York on foot. One particular day, the day we did the Columbia University, which is up here. Columbia University, way up there. And then we came down to here, and we did this little shot from the Ghostbusters 2 Ecto-1 driving shot, Columbus Avenue and 89th Street. And then we took the transverse across Central Park. We came up here past the Guggenheim Museum from Men in Black. We went into the Jack Onassis Reservoir and got the ghost jogger scenes. And then literally, we like on foot, we came down to all these locations. Ray with a trap in the montage on 16 East 63rd Street, the Taxi Ghost, Orifers, the Path of the Statue of Liberty, the IBC building from Scrooged, more Ecto. Like all of this was a single day. It was like we took we came in on the subway up to Columbia and then back down to here, and then the rest of that was all on foot. And I came home on Google Earth, reconstructed every one of those stops, and we had walked 7 miles. And that was just the second day. And I was there for 4 days. So basically, we walked a New York Marathon. Adam walked a pair of shoes off. By the last day, he's in flip-flops because of all the blisters on his feet. I came home one night, and it's one big room. Rachel's in the bed, asleep. I'm on her laptop uploading my photos from the day, and Adam had gone into the bath to shower or whatever. And I hear this voice in the dark go, "I hate you so much right now." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "I have 2 new blisters per foot." I said, "You are the one." At every single turn, I would say, "Well, we could get a taxi." And he said, "No, it's only 17 blocks. We can walk it." He refused to ever let us get into a taxi. Now, I'd done taxis in London, all this stuff, you know, when I was 18 and everything. So it was kind of funny, I thought. This was I keep calling it my first trip to New York. And when I started planning this out today, I forgot. When I was 18, I did actually go to New York. We flew from Atlanta to JFK Airport and stayed in the airport until our connecting flight from there to Heathrow Airport in London. So technically, this was my second trip to New York City and my third trip to New York State, because when I was 14, we drove through a little piece of Albany on our way to Canada for a choral event in like half a dozen Basden buses from Alabama to Canada. Not a fun trip. So, New York City, by the time you do all your research and crunch all your numbers, in the airplane flying overhead, I was like, oh my God, that's the museum from Ghostbusters 2. That would be Men in Black headquarters right there next to it. And, I was actually picking out things from the air that I could recognize amongst all the architecture and all the buildings. And then one really weird thing happened. One morning I was so bleary-eyed from cross-referencing all these websites, and I was just like, I gotta step away from it. So I go on GB Fans as like a sorbet to cleanse my palate, and I find this clickbait title that says Annie Potts talks about the late Harold Ramis. This was in 2014, just months after he passed away. okay. So I watch a 5-minute long video about her in Pippin at the Music Box Theater in New York City, and in the last 30 seconds somebody says, oh, and Harold Ramis just passed away, and she's like, such a nice man. And I'm like, well, that was a total waste of my, did you say Music Box Theater? So I go to their website, I found out the dates of the show, the times of the show, the duration of the show. It's like, well, this tells me where and when she'll be. All I need to know is where the stage door is. Google Stage Doors Music Box Theater in New York City. There's a website called Stage Doors of New York. It shows you where to find them and pictures. So we were able to successfully stake out Annie Potts in the first couple of hours of being in New York when I went there, and 10 days later she had finished her run with the show. So it was just a total fluke that I found out that piece of information. So enjoy your trip, and thank you for watching.